This module includes Introduction, Natural Hazard, Natural Disaster, Earthquakes, Floods, Fire, Disaster Management in India, Case Studies, Recapitulation.
We are well aware of the disasters that have struck from time to time, like tsunami, earthquakes, floods, landslides, volcanic eruption, etc. The damage caused to human life and properties have moved us all. Several questions arise in our mind regarding these disasters, like what are these phenomena? How are they caused? How can we save ourselves? Let's explore about disasters and the ways to reduce the effects of these disasters on the society. A natural hazard is an unexpected or uncontrollable natural event of unusual intensity that threatens people's lives or their activities. Natural hazard is an issue of great concern. On an average, about 150,000 people are killed worldwide by natural hazards each year. Globally, losses from natural hazards are also increasing, mostly due to the rapid increase in human population. This unprecedented number of people has reduced resource availability and forced people to live in marginal areas where natural hazards occur more frequently. Three major natural hazards that occur very commonly are earthquake, tsunami, and volcanic eruption.
Natural disasters. A natural disaster is an event that is caused by a natural hazard, leads to human, material, economic, and environmental loss, exceeds the ability of those affected to cope. Examples of natural disasters are the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, the 2008 earthquake in China. When a hazard becomes a disaster. A natural hazard becomes a natural disaster when it affects people, officially causing more than 10 deaths, injuring more than 100 people. Look at the diagram to understand the process of hazard becoming a disaster. Earthquake is a hazard if it strikes a desert uninhabited by human beings. It would not cause direct and immediate damage to the society. On the other hand, the earthquake that struck Bhuj in Gujarat in 2001 and killed more than 10,000 people became a disaster owing to its immediate impact on the society. Earthquake is the violent shaking or jolt of Earth's surface due to movement originating from deep underground, which can cause a lot of damage.
Earthquake occurs when massive accumulated stress releases from the weak zones of the Earth. High-intensity earthquake changes the contour spacing and river course, due to which various landforms are formed. Earthquakes are unpredictable, hence pre-disaster mitigation is very essential in this case. High-intensity earthquakes can cause large-scale damage to life and property.
Of origin of an earthquake is called its focus. The surface above the focus is called epicenter. The effect of an earthquake is felt the strongest near the epicenter. India has witnessed some of the most devastating earthquakes during the last century, like Uttarkashi in 1991, Latur in 1993, Jabalpur in 1997, Chamoli in 1999, Bhuj in 2001. can be measured by using two scales. The occurrence of an earthquake is detected by a sensitive instrument called seismograph. The intensity of an earthquake is measured on Richter scale. Here the map is showing the seismic zones of India. The following video will show us the effects of earthquake. Against earthquakes. Leave your building and move towards an open area. Do not stay near windows, bookcases, mirrors and fans during or immediately after an earthquake. If trapped in a building, remain close to an interior wall and protect your head with arms. If outdoors, keep away from things that can fall on you. Let us watch an animation to learn more about the mitigation measures of an earthquake.
Floods are temporary inundation of large regions as a result of an increase in the volume of reservoir or of rivers flooding their banks because of heavy rains. Devastation by floods is a recurrent annual phenomenon in India. Almost every year, some or the other part of the country is affected by floods. Based upon the flood data, an average 7.55 million hectares of land is affected annually. Floods cause enormous damage too. Floods are temporary.
Flood is a socio-natural disaster. Flooding in an area can take place because of heavy rain, which is a natural phenomenon, lack of proper drainage facility, a result of human negligence.
The occurrence of floods depends on many things such as climate, nature of the streams, soil, vegetation cover, amount of snow, and overall rainfall. Here the map is showing the flood hazard zones of India. Precautions against floods. Keep the first aid kit ready, especially medicines for diarrhea and snake bites. Keep a radio, torch, matchbox, candles and batteries. Keep adequate stock of fresh water, food articles and kerosene. Drink only boiled water and eat only freshly cooked food.
Fire can be both a natural calamity as well as a man-made disaster. Fire caused by volcanoes, thunderstorms, etc. can be categorized as secondary disaster. It can lead to massive damage of life and property if not controlled. Let us now know about the precautions that need to be taken during fire. In case of wildfire, cover the nose and mouth by a mask or cloth to avoid choking from smoke. Stay away from any kind of wildfire occurring during a journey. Alert the local authorities immediately. In case of domestic and industrial fire, buildings should not be overcrowded. Proper fire exits and exit signage should be maintained. Fire extinguishers should be placed and maintained at appropriate places. Fire drills should be conducted at regular intervals.
Test yourself. In India,
Disaster management covers the range of activities designed to maintain control over the losses due to disasters. Disaster management aims to reduce or avoid the potential losses from hazards, assure prompt and appropriate assistance to the victims of disaster, achieve rapid and effective recovery. The activities of disaster management may be conducted before, during, or after a disaster. It may be related to preparedness, mitigation, or relief and recovery. Disaster management can be carried in different phases. The first phase is the disaster phase, then response and relief phase. After that, rehabilitation and reconstruction phase is carried out. Then mitigation is done. The final phase is preparedness amongst the people for disaster.
Disaster management in India. Disaster management committees exist at all levels in the Government of India. They take necessary actions soon after a certain area is hit by a disaster. Sometimes various agencies of government and non-governmental organizations, NGOs, work together to manage disasters. Is an active role in disaster management at 3 levels: national level, state level, and local level. At the national level, the Ministry of Home Affairs is responsible for all the activities involved in disaster management. The National Crisis Management Committee works at this level to take necessary actions to deal with a disaster. State level. Every state has a disaster management committee to handle disasters. This committee is headed by the Chief Minister of the state. They take care of reconstruction and rehabilitation in the affected areas. At the local level. Similarly, disaster management committees are also formed at the district and village levels. They are headed by their respective heads like district magistrate or the head of the Gram Panchayat. Let us know more about disaster management by discussing some case studies. Now let us know more about disaster management by discussing some case studies. Our first case study deals with floods in Assam and Bihar. River Brahmaputra is the lifeline of Assam. Due to heavy showers, the river overflows and causes enormous destruction to crops, life and property. About 7% of land in Assam's 17 riverine districts has been lost due to river erosion. Over 1 million people are affected by floods in Bihar also. Flood takes place every year in the major tributaries of River Ganga like Ghagra, Gandak, Bagmati, Kosi, etc. About 76% of Bihar's population lives under recurring threat of floods. Districts of Bihar that get majorly affected are Kishanganj, Purnia, Araria, Supaul, Katihar, Bhagalpur, Madhepura and Darbhanga. Rescue and relief operations are taken care by National Disaster Response Force and the Bihar Disaster Response Force. Several measures like construction of raised platforms, new embankments, etc. are taking place to minimize the effect of floods. Our second case study discusses about earthquake in Nepal. A massive earthquake measuring about 8.1 on Richter scale hit Nepal on 25th April 2015. Aftershocks continued to occur throughout Nepal at the intervals of 15 to 20 minutes. The epicenter was near the Chinese border between the capital Kathmandu and Mount Everest. Lies on the fault line of 2 tectonic plates, the Indian plate and the Eurasian plate. These plates are slowly moving and often they get stuck at the edges due to friction. When the stress on the edge releases, earthquake takes place. Hundreds of people died and thousands were left homeless in the earthquake. The after effects of earthquake resulted in human trafficking, decreased tourism, spread of diseases, etc. Nepal continues to experience regular small-scale earthquakes due to its geological structure. The case study deals with oil spills in the coastal areas of United States. The coastal areas of the United States have witnessed many oil spills in the last few decades. Oil spills have a tremendous impact on the local environment and the global ecosystem at large. When oil is spilled in the ocean, it spreads over the water surface. Waves, currents and wind force the oil slick to drift over large areas. This leads to a devastating effect in coastal areas, marine and coastal habitats, and to coastal fishing and fisheries. There are many long-term harmful ecological effects of oil spill. Marine life in the ocean and coastal areas are poisoned due to oil spill. Oil spills can be prevented by enforcing stricter regulations for oil companies like using double-hull ships and tankers. Test yourself.
Let's summarize the topic. Hazard is a dangerous event that could cause